Before you even step into this story, I want you to think about something. What would you do if one normal night, someone in your own family looked you straight in the eyes and said you didn't belong? What if a single sentence, just one, made you question your entire place in the world? And what if, right after that, you found something small, something silent, but powerful enough to change everything you thought you knew about your life? Would you open it? Would you want the truth, even if it hurt? Or would knowing it destroy more than it fixed? Because tonight, in this story, a secret comes out. A secret that should have stayed buried. And the real question is, once it's revealed, who will it break first? Yo, you ever get that gut punch feeling that something's about to go sideways? Blake felt it the second she stepped into the airport, clutching her purse like it could somehow shield her from the chaos around her. Rolling suitcases clattered. PA announcements echoed like distant warnings. And a stroller tipped over in the corner, baby screaming like a siren. The fluorescent lights flickered, half shadowing the terminal walls. And Blake's stomach twisted. Something wasn't right. Not today. Mark and Tanya were there, smiling all rehearsed and perfect. But Blake could see the cracks. Tanya's grin froze mid-laugh, eyes sliding shut like a camera shutter. Mark's hand brushed hers almost deliberately, just long enough to make her notice. She hated that she noticed. Why was she always the one reading into the silent little things? She tried to shake it off. Maybe I'm just tired, she muttered under her breath. But the feeling gnawed at her chest. Something about this trip. It wasn't about healing. It never had been. The line moved, slow and brutal. She checked her bag one last time. Boarding pass. Gone. Wait, what? She dug into her purse. Empty. Her heart thumped, fast and panicked. She glanced up at Mark. Where's my boarding pass? Mark's smile didn't falter. Checked in already, Blake. Everything's fine. Tanya's eyes flicked to the side, a little too casual. We wouldn't let you miss your flight, right? The words sounded friendly, but the way they landed, like tiny needles, made Blake's chest tighten. Something in her gut screamed danger, and then it hit her. The realization that made her freeze in place, a cold sweat creeping down her back. No checked bag, no boarding pass. Not an accident. Deliberate. They had left her. Her mind raced. Questions stacked up, tumbling over each other like a freight train. Why? What the hell did she do? Was this some twisted power play? Or worse? Was it about the money, the inheritance, something she hadn't even seen coming? She stepped back, letting the crowd move around her. The terminal suddenly felt massive, suffocating. Somewhere, someone might be watching. Someone always is, right? She tugged at her jacket, heart hammering. Memories of Jake flickered through her mind, his voice, always warning her to trust her instincts. She hadn't listened this morning. Big mistake. Then the little weird things hit her. A boarding pass slid out from under a nearby bench. Not hers. A text pinged on her phone. No sender. No message. Just a single question mark. Her throat went dry. Someone was playing a game. But who, and why her? She glanced at Mark and Tanya again, trying to read them like she used to. They were calm, too calm. Their smiles were perfect, plastic, but her gut knew better. She wasn't going to get out of this clean if she didn't think fast. Blake's fingers dug into her purse strap. Okay? Think, she muttered. Her mind darted between options, but the terminal suddenly felt like a cage. Every step forward seemed to tighten invisible chains. She had been abandoned, left with nothing. And yet, in that despair, something sparked. Anger, determination, survival instinct. The PA announcement crackled overhead, but she barely heard it. Her eyes scanned the crowd. Somewhere in the sea of people, someone was watching her every move. Someone who might tip the scales before she even got a chance to fight back. And then she asked herself the question that would haunt her next few hours. If your own family could erase you with a shrug. How far would you go before you break? The terminal was suddenly bigger, louder, and darker. And Blake realized she wasn't just left at the gate. She was stepping into a storm she hadn't even imagined yet. Man, Blake never thought an airport could feel like a trap. But there she was, shoved into the middle of it. Heart racing like she'd just sprinted a mile. Palms sweaty, eyes darting. She kept replaying the scene over and over, Mark and Tanya smiling, perfectly composed, while she was left to fend for herself. Something about it screamed, wrong, very wrong. She tightened her grip on the purse, muttering under her breath, "Okay, Blake, breathe, figure it out, don't freak out yet." And that's when she saw him. A man leaning against the terminal wall, hoodie pulled low, face mostly shadowed. He was watching her. Not casually, no, his stare felt sharp, almost predatory. Goosebumps shot up her arms. Her gut twisted. Should she approach? Ignore him, run. Her instincts screamed, not good. Not good at all, But before she could make a move, her phone pinged again. Another message. No words, this time just a single number. **7, **7. What the hell? She whispered, frowning. That couldn't be random. Someone was playing some sick game, and she'd just stepped right into it. She took a cautious step forward, pretending to check the gateboard. But her eyes never left the hoodie guy. The man shifted slightly, not leaving his spot, but not blinking either. Every nerve in her body was on high alert. Suddenly, a kid's backpack toppled over nearby. Books scattering like a miniature explosion. People rushed to help, but she noticed. The man didn't flinch. He didn't react, just watched, and then, like a flash, he moved, vanishing into the crowd, smooth as smoke. Blake's heart thudded so hard she thought everyone could hear it. Someone was definitely following her. Or maybe more than one person. She glanced at Mark and Tanya, but they were gone, vanished like nothing happened. Her stomach knotted. She'd been left to figure this out on her own. She ducked into a corner cafe, trying to blend in, buying herself a few minutes to think. Every sip of coffee felt like it might give her a clue or poison her. She tried to calm her racing mind, but the random numbers, the stranger, it all clicked together into a terrifying pattern. This wasn't about a missed flight. This was about control. Her phone pinged again. This time, a text, ***, you can't hide. Not here, ***. She froze. Her coffee nearly spilled. Who the hell was this? Some sick joke. Or someone who had been planning this for a while. Then, out of nowhere, a familiar voice cracked through the noise. Blake. Her head snapped around. Standing a few feet away was a woman she didn't recognize. Mid-30s, messy bun. Eyes darting like she was hiding something big. "Do I know you?" Blake asked, her voice trembling. The woman glanced around nervously. "No, but I know about them, about what they're doing. You shouldn't be here alone." Blake's stomach dropped. Them. Who the hell are they? Before she could ask more, the PA announcement blared, ***, final boarding call. Gate 42. ***. Her heart jumped. Gate 42. That was the gate Mark and Tanya had supposedly booked. But she had no boarding pass. And now this stranger was warning her. She glanced back toward the exit. And the hoodie man reappeared at the end of the terminal, staring. Not running, just waiting. Blake's mind raced a mile a minute. She had to make a move. Go, stay, confront. And the stranger. Could she trust her? And then the thought hit her like a freight train. ***, if even strangers know what's coming, what the hell have I walked into? And who's really pulling the strings? Her chest tightened. Every instinct screamed danger. But Blake knew one thing for sure. She wasn't going to let herself get trapped again. Not today. Blake's heart was pounding like a bass drum, and she knew she couldn't freeze here any longer. The terminal suddenly felt like a jungle. Every passerby a potential predator, every shadow a threat. She shoved her purse tighter against her chest and darted toward the nearest exit, hoping, praying, that she wasn't walking straight into a trap. She glanced back. The hoodie guy, gone, vanished, and just like that, a flicker of relief hit her. Before her stomach plummeted. Because someone else was watching now. A tall figure, sharp suit, sunglasses, even indoors. Moving through the crowd like he owned every step. Her pulse spiked. Asterisk great. Just great. Asterisk. She ducked into a small shop, pretending to browse snacks, pretending she wasn't fooling anyone. The suited man paused at the entrance, scanning the room like a hawk. And then, he left, or maybe he didn't notice her. Either way, Blake's chest heaved. Okay, think, she muttered under her breath, glancing at her phone. The stranger from before hadn't texted again. Was she real? Was she working for them? Every instinct screamed caution. Her mind flashed back to the mysterious numbers ***7, 42, ***. Now a sense of pattern began forming. It's like a countdown, she whispered, eyes narrowing. A map or a code? Her thought got interrupted by a sudden crash. A cart tipped over near the gate, sending drinks flying. People screamed. Chaos. And in the confusion, she saw it. A note slipped under a chair, perfectly still. She snatched it. Hand shaking. Scrawled in jagged handwriting. ***, they're closer than you think. Don't trust the family. Go now. ***. Blake's throat went dry. Her own family. Could they really be behind this madness? The question clawed at her. She thought about Mark and Tana's Miles rehearsed like villains in a horror flick. Could they be this cold? She looked up. The terminal was buzzing with movement. But she noticed something at a group of people, all casually dressed, subtly circling her path. Too coordinated for coincidence. Someone was orchestrating this. And her heart sank. She had no idea who to trust. Just then, the stranger from before appeared beside her. Blake, she hissed, eyes darting. You don't have much time. They're setting something up. Something big. You need to get out, now. Blake froze. Her voice barely a whisper. Who? Who are you? The woman's gaze was urgent, almost desperate. Call me June, but right now. Don't think. Move. Before Blake could respond, the lights flickered violently, and a PA announcement crackled. ***, all passengers at gate 42, please proceed immediately. Security alert in progress. ***. Blake's stomach dropped. Gate 42, the very gate Mark and Tanya had booked. And now, a security alert. Was it real? Or another trap? June grabbed her arm, pulling her toward the emergency exit. No questions, just go. Blake's mind raced a mile a minute. Run, hide, confront. And what about her family? The thought of betrayal gnawed at her gut. She had trusted them. She'd thought they had her back. And then the hooded figure reappeared, standing by the escalator, staring straight at them. Blake's pulse went nuclear. June glanced at her, eyes wide. That's him. The one who's been tracking you since you got here? And just like that, Blake realized this wasn't just about being left behind. This was bigger, way bigger. She swallowed hard, mind spinning. If they've been tracking me this whole time, then who can I trust? And what the hell are they planning next? Man, Blake's legs were burning, and her heart felt like it had gone full throttle on a roller coaster. She barely had time to process June's words before they were practically sprinting through a side corridor of the terminal. The hum of security radios, the shuffle of feet, and the occasional PA announcement made it feel like the whole airport was alive and hunting her. Keep your head down, June hissed, tugging her into a shadowy maintenance door. Blake slammed it behind her. Darkness swallowed them. and for a split second, it was quiet. Asterisk, too quiet. Asterisk. Blake's mind raced. Who was June really? And why the hell was she helping Blake now? She glanced at the woman, hard eyes, tense jaw. Not exactly someone you'd trust on a normal day, but normal was long gone. A sudden click echoed in the room. Blake spun around, another door opening. And there they were, two men in black, moving fast, their eyes locked on her. Shit, June muttered, pulling Blake behind a stack of crates. We're not alone. Blake could barely breathe. She thought about Mark and Tanya, the smirks, the coldness. Were they in on this too? Asterisk, were they orchestrating all this from the start? Asterisk, her mind flashed to the boarding pass that had mysteriously disappeared. The cryptic text. It was starting to feel like she'd been in a twisted game since she'd set foot in the airport. June peeked over the crates. We gotta move through the service tunnels. They won't follow us, they're too risky. Blake nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. Her body screamed freeze, but her brain said move. She followed June, heart hammering. The tunnels smelled like metal and old cleaning chemicals, and the dim lights cast weird shadows that danced like monsters on the walls. Midway through, a small beep from Blake's phone made her jump. A text. No sender. Just one line. Asterisk, asterisk, you shouldn't be here, Blake. Walk away before it's too late. Asterisk, asterisk. Her stomach dropped. Whoever this was, they knew her name. Asterisk, they knew everything. Asterisk. They ducked into another corridor, and suddenly, the world tilted. Blake recognized the space. It was a small, forgotten office. Papers stacked like towers, a dusty computer humming in the corner. And then, a familiar sound. Laughter. Mark's laugh. Blake froze. Her mind couldn't process it. Asterisk, how? Why? Mark stepped out from behind a filing cabinet, smirk plastered on his face. Well, look who decided to play detective, he said, voice smooth but venomous. Tanya was behind him, arms crossed, expression icy. Blake felt bile rise in her throat. Betrayal burned like acid. You set this up, she stammered. Oh, honey, Tanya said, voice dripping sweet poison. You had no idea what you were walking into. But you're finally here. Exactly where we wanted. June stiffened beside her, but Blake's eyes locked on her family. Asterisk, her blood ran cold. Asterisk. Before she could react, Mark gestured subtly, and the office door clicked shut, locking automatically. Panic clawed at her chest. She glanced at June. What now? June shook her head. We've got to stall them. Figure out what they're planning. But I don't know how long we've got. Blake's mind raced. Her family. Her trust. All a lie. And worse. What had they been planning all this time? A muffled sound came from the vents above. A shadow passed. Someone or something was watching them. Blake swallowed hard, her pulse skyrocketing. And then a single question slammed into her like a freight train. Asterisk, if your own family is pulling the strings, and every step you take is being tracked, how do you even begin to fight back? Blake's pulse was hammering so hard she swore the walls could hear it. The office felt smaller somehow. The fluorescent lights flickering like nervous eyelids, shadows stretching across the walls as if the room itself was closing in. She clutched the stack of papers to her chest, her fingers trembling not just from fear, but from pure rage. How dare Mark and Tanya plan this behind her back? Every instinct screamed that she was in deep trouble, and yet, a fire flickered in her chest. She wasn't going down quietly. Yo, we've got to move, June hissed, crouched low beside her. Her eyes darted to the office door like she was expecting someone or something to appear at any second. They're not just messing with your head. They're controlling the board, the rules. Every single move. You gotta think 10 steps ahead. Blake nodded, though doubt gnawed at her. Could she really trust June? Was she an ally? Or another piece in Mark and Tanya's twisted game? The uncertainty twisted in her gut, sharper than any fear. Mark's smirk lingered in her memory, so smug, like he already knew what she was thinking. And Tanya, her gaze had that cold shutter eye effect, scanning, calculating. Every flick of her hand, every shuffle of her papers. It was deliberate, dangerous. Blake's eyes caught the exit sign, flickering red over the narrow corridor leading away from the office. Shadows danced along the cracked walls, stretching like fingers. She slid the papers into her bag and followed June, careful not to make a sound. Step, pause, step, freeze. The metallic hum of the emergency lights buzzed in her ears. Every instinct screamed, asterisk, they're watching, asterisk. June, you sure this is the right way? Blake whispered. Her voice sounded small in the corridor, swallowed by the concrete walls. June's lips tightened. Yeah, but keep your head down. They've got eyes everywhere. Cameras, guards, maybe even your phone. You're being tracked. Blake froze. Her phone buzzed, suddenly a photo. Goosebumps erupted on her arms. She opened it. Her stomach sank. The image showed her in the office, papers in hand. Behind her, shadowy figures lurking, partly hidden. She hadn't seen them, but they were there, watching, waiting. Oh man, she muttered under her breath. Her stomach twisted. Someone had been following her every move, every step, every breath. June's eyes flicked to the photo too, subtle, almost like recognition. Asterisk, she's seen this before. Asterisk, Blake thought, unease creeping in. Asterisk, but why hasn't she said anything? The corridor ended in a narrow stairwell, emergency lights barely illuminating the concrete steps. Blake's hands gripped the railing, determination slicing through the panic. She couldn't let them win. Not now, not ever. A faint click echoed behind them. Blake's head snapped around. Shadows moved at the far end of the corridor, just a silhouette, but enough to make her freeze. Her heart hammered in her chest. If the people you trusted most were orchestrating your nightmare, how do you know who to trust next? And if someone is watching your every move, are you ever truly safe? Blake swallowed hard, feeling the walls closing in. But a spark of defiance ignited. She had one choice: fight smart, think fast, and risk everything to take back control. But could she do it? Before it was too late. Step, pause, step, and then the shadow moved closer. Pulse racing, heart hammering in her chest like a jackhammer. Blake pressed her back against the damp wall of the corridor, every nerve screaming. The flickering lights overhead made the hallway look alive, shadows crawling along the cracked concrete like creatures ready to strike. She could feel eyes on her, every inch of the space around her tense with danger. Exposed. That word cut sharper than any knife. She wasn't just alone, she was completely exposed, with the sound of distant boots echoing like an ominous drumbeat behind her. Asterisk, who's watching? Mark, Tanya, or someone else? Asterisk, the thought made her stomach twist. June's voice buzzed in her earpiece. Blake, split up, go left. I'll take right. Draw their attention if they're following. Blake's chest tightened. Are you sure? Trust me. Just move. June's tone was low but urgent. There was a subtle tremor beneath the calmness, like she knew more than she was saying. Turning sharply, Blake dashed left, sneakers splashing on the cold, wet floor. The corridor reeked of damp metal and stale air. Pipes overhead dripped in a rhythm that made her pulse spike. Every step she took felt like it echoed 10 times louder. A faint scrape above her made her freeze. Breath caught, one misstep, and it could all be over. She spotted a maintenance ladder leading to a narrow crawl space. Asterisk, this is it. My shot. Asterisk, she climbed quickly. Metal rattling beneath her fingers, heart slamming in her ears. Sweat ran down her temples, mixing with the grime of the walls. She shoved herself into the tight space, crawling silently above the corridor, trying to control her shaking hands. From this vantage point, she could see everything. Mark stood near a stack of labeled files, fingers tapping a metallic briefcase, smirk fixed in place. Tanya monitored a security screen. Glancing at blinking numbers Blake didn't understand, but they screamed control and power, and then her stomach dropped. Third figure stood in the shadows behind them, completely still, tense, almost predatory. One hand rested on something metallic, reflecting the flickering lights. Blake's breath caught eyes, or just a trick of the shadows. She didn't know, but the threat was real. She pressed herself flat, heartbeat echoing in her ears, trying not to breathe too loud. Footsteps from below rattled the ladder slightly, making her freeze in place. Every instinct screamed, move, hide, survive. Her phone buzzed. Another photo, taken from above, from her own angle, revealing her exact position in the crawl space. Goosebumps prickled her arms. Someone had tracked her every move. Not by accident, deliberately. In June. Can I trust her? Blake wondered. Her mind raced through possibilities. Was this ally a double agent, or just one piece of a bigger puzzle she hadn't even started to understand? A sudden metallic clang above made her gasp and crouch lower. Someone else had entered the crawl space. She couldn't see them yet, but the presence was undeniable. Immediate, close, threatening. Every second stretched into eternity. She tried to steady her breath. She needed to plan her next move fast. Every shadow could hide danger. Every corner could conceal betrayal. The pulse in her ears was deafening. She had to move. But where? And more importantly, who else was in the game, waiting for her to slip? The third figure didn't move, but Blake could feel it. Patience, malice, the kind of intent that only comes with knowing you've already won before. The other side even realizes the fight started. If someone had been tracking her every move, watching her from shadows she hadn't even noticed. Who else was involved? And how far would they go to stop her before she uncovered the truth? A faint click echoed just above her. Someone else, maybe the real threat, had entered the crawl space. Blake's muscles tensed. Every instinct screamed. Now or never. Man. Blake's chest felt like it was gonna explode. The warehouse was closing in on her. Shadows crawling along the walls like living things. She could hear her own breathing, loud, ragged, too damn loud, and every step she took made the metal ladder groan under her weight. The third figure didn't move, just watched, tense, poised, ready. Blake's pulse slammed against her ribs. Who the hell is this person? Her mind raced, flipping through every possible scenario. They weren't just some random thug, they knew her routines, her damn patterns. Blake, June whispered urgently in her earpiece, voice tight. You need to trust your instincts. Go left, through the crawl space. I'll distract them. Blake wasn't sure she had the luxury of trusting anyone right now, but she had no choice. Her sneakers slapped against the wet concrete as she dropped silently from the ladder, landing in the crawl space with a soft thud. Water seeped into her socks, cold and biting. But she didn't care. Focus. Move. Survive. She crept along, walls closing in, every corner hiding danger. The third figure shifted, and she froze. Metallic glint under flickering light. Hand on something? Maybe a gun. Maybe just a wrench. Didn't matter. Danger was danger. She had to get out, now. Suddenly a noise. Too deliberate to be random. A crate tipped over somewhere behind her. Blake spun, heart hammering. Nothing. Or maybe something. Footsteps echoing off the steel beams. Close, too close. She pressed herself against the wall, chest heaving. Her mind flashed back to Mark and Tanya. All their rehearsed smiles, their fake sympathy. And June, was she really on her side? Or was she just another piece of the puzzle? Every nerve in her body screamed caution. Blake's hand brushed against a pipe, slick with condensation, and she realized she was nearing a dead end. Panic surged, hot and bitter. She had to make a choice. Move forward blindly, or stay and risk being caught. The third figure's shadow loomed closer, the faint scrape of boots on concrete sending chills up her spine. Her phone buzzed again. Another photo. Someone had taken it from above, a vantage point she didn't even know existed. Goosebumps raced down her arms. They had eyes everywhere, every move monitored. And yet, there was no clear pattern, no way to predict what would come next. Blake clenched her fists, forcing herself to calm down, think, plan, survive. She scanned the crawl space, searching for anything, pipes, crates, shadows that could give her an edge. Her pulse screamed in her ears. Every step could be the wrong one. Every breath might give her away. And then she saw it. A tiny, flickering red light at the far end of the corridor. A door or a trap. No way to tell. She swallowed hard, adrenaline surging. If that light was the way out, could she even reach it before the third figure or someone else cut her off? Asterisk if they're tracking her every move. If June's loyalty is still a question. If the third figure isn't alone, what's waiting at the other end of that corridor? And will she even make it there alive? Blake's eyes narrowed. She had no time to think. Only one option. Move fast, quiet, and hope it was enough. Blake's pulse was a freight train. Every drip of water, every creak in the warehouse sounded amplified in her ears. She pressed herself flat against the damp concrete wall, fingertips grazing the cold metal piping, heart hammering like it was trying to escape. The flickering red exit light ahead cast jagged shadows that moved like living things. Move. Now. June's voice cut through the earpiece. Low and urgent, almost a hiss. Blake swallowed hard. Trust June. Or was this just another setup? She couldn't tell. Not now, not here. Every nerve screamed danger. Every shadow felt alive. And then she heard it. Just above her, metal scraping against concrete. Subtle, almost inaudible, but it made her freeze mid. The third figure, closer, silent, predatory. Her stomach twisted. One wrong move, and she was done. Blake inched forward, each step measured, heart thudding in her ears. Sneakers slapped lightly against puddles. Water splashing cold against her ankles. She dove behind a stack of crates just as a tall silhouette passed, posture tense, hand glinting on something metallic. She held her breath. Step, pause, step, freeze. Her phone buzzed again. Another photo. Not just her this time. June mid-motion somewhere Blake didn't recognize. Her gut clenched. Could June still be on her side? Or was she another pawn in whatever nightmare Mark and Tanya had cooked up? Anger flared hot in her chest. Damn them, she muttered under her breath. How dare they try to trap me? Fear morphed into sharp focus. She had to survive. She would survive. The corridor twisted ahead. Narrow, shadows stretching. Every corner, a potential ambush. Her eyes caught the flicker of a slightly ajar door. Lights spilling through, promising escape or the next trap. Her mind spun, weighing options. Step into the unknown, or stay trapped in this tense purgatory. Every instinct screamed both yes and no. Above, a soft click echoed someone moving, maybe closer, maybe not. A heartbeat of uncertainty. Blake's pulse matched it, rapid, unstoppable. She scanned the crawl space. Pipes overhead dripped. Metal walls radiated cold, every sound amplified. Every shadow a threat. One wrong move, one breath too loud, and she'd be done. And yet, there it was, her only shot. One step forward, fingers brushing the doorframe, ready to push open. Breath steadying, adrenaline sharpening every sense. The unknown lay beyond. A whisper of wind, or someone else. She couldn't tell. Couldn't risk hesitation. If she steps through that door, who or what is waiting? Is June really on her side, or has she been playing her all along? And if the third figure isn't alone, how many others are lurking in the shadows, watching her every move? Blake's eyes narrowed. One last breath, one last step. The edge of the unknown was here. Step and pray. Man, Blake didn't even think. She pushed the door open and slammed it behind her, the metal groaning like a scream in the dead warehouse. Light flooded in, but it wasn't relief, was a warning. Shadows danced along the walls, jagged and twitching, and every step echoed like it was announcing her presence to whoever or whatever was waiting. She pressed herself against the nearest crate, sweat stinging her eyes. Her pulse was a jackhammer. Every instinct told her, don't move, don't breathe. But she couldn't stay pinned forever. Not here, not now. Not when the stakes were this damn high. A soft scuff came from the far end of the corridor. Blake's stomach dropped. Footsteps? Or a trap? She couldn't tell. The air was thick, heavy with the smell of damp concrete and old metal. Her hands shook as she reached for her phone. Another photo, another clue, or maybe another threat. This one showed Mark, mid-motion, fingers brushing over a lockbox that looked significant. Goosebumps ran up her spine. She had to think fast. Her eyes scanned the room. Stacked crates, scattered tools, shadows hiding every angle. The flickering fluorescent lights didn't help. They made every shape look alive, threatening, and then she heard it. A whisper. Not June, not herself. Something else. Someone else. Blake froze. Her mind raced. Could it be the third figure she'd seen earlier? Or one of the others she hadn't even suspected were watching? Anger and fear tangled in her chest. Damn them. Damn them all for thinking they could corner her. Her resolve hardened. She wasn't going down without a fight. Slow, careful steps. One crate at a time, she moved across the room, every nerve screaming. Metal clanged beneath her, heart pounding. She held her breath, praying whoever was out there didn't notice. Nothing, just the echo bouncing off the walls. Then a sound she didn't recognize, a faint mechanical click. Something behind her. She whipped around, empty, but the air shifted. The hairs on her neck stood straight up. Someone had been there and maybe still was. Her phone buzzed again. Another photo. This time June, mid-step, caught in some kind of hallway Blake didn't recognize. Trust her. Could she? Or had she been setting Blake up the whole time? Paranoia clawed at her mind, but there wasn't time to indulge it. She needed answers. Needed to move. Needed to survive. She spotted a stairwell leading downward, maybe a basement, maybe a trap. Could be the only way out. Could also be straight into the lion's den. But staying meant almost certain capture. Blake squared her shoulders. She wasn't letting them win. Not today. Not like this. Step down. Metal railing slick under her fingers. Heart in her throat. Every creak of the stairs sounded like a gunshot. Shadows shifted around the edges, and she kept imagining eyes following her, counting her steps. She paused mid-step. One figure, two, maybe more. Too many unknowns. And then she heard it. A voice, low, calm, unmistakable. Blake. You shouldn't have come here. The words hit her like a punch. Familiar, dangerous, and somewhere deep in her gut, she knew the fire she'd just stepped into was only getting hotter. Who spoke? Mark, Tanya. Or someone even worse Blake hadn't even seen yet. And if June's not on her side, how many more surprises are waiting in the shadows below? Blake's eyes narrowed. One choice, one step. One moment to change everything or lose it all. Step forward and pray she's ready for whatever's waiting in the dark. Blake's sneakers hit the cold concrete floor of the basement, echoing like gunshots. Man, she hated that sound. Every step screamed, someone's watching you. Someone's coming for you, Her pulse was racing like a runaway train. Heart in her throat, she pressed herself against the nearest wall. the dampness soaking through her sleeve. The smell, musty, metallic, heavy, made her stomach churn. A flicker of red light from the corner caught her eye. Something moved. No, someone. She ducked behind a crate. Just as a shadow stretched across the floor like it had a mind of its own. Blake swallowed hard. Okay, stay cool, breathe, think. But every instinct screamed to run, to bolt straight out of this nightmare. Her phone buzzed. Another photo. Mark, standing in some room she didn't recognize, smirking like he already knew she'd be trapped. Goosebumps crawled up her arms, and then no, colder, a hiss of words that made her blood run ice cold. Thought you could play hero, huh? Blake froze. That wasn't June. Not entirely. Something in that tone. It was personal, dangerous, real. She risked a glance over the crate. Nothing. Just shadows and the occasional glint of metal. But she knew better. She wasn't alone. A sudden scrape above her made her yelp. Someone or something was moving on the stairs she'd just descended. Panic and anger collided. Damn it. Who the hell is playing with me like this? Blake's hands fisted, nails biting into her palms. She had to get to the far end of the basement. Maybe there was another exit, maybe not. But staying meant death. Step by step, she crept. Every noise felt amplified. A drip of water, a distant clang, her own ragged breathing. Then a metallic click, low and deliberate. Her stomach dropped. Footsteps, a trap being set. Or just her imagination feeding her paranoia. She rounded a stack of crates and froze. There, at the other end, a figure stood in the red glow hall, still, waiting. Not Mark, not Tanya. Someone else. Someone she hadn't even anticipated. Her chest tightened. Could she fight this? Could she even escape? She had to keep moving, had to keep thinking. Her phone buzzed again. Another photo. This time June, mid-step, looking terrified. Blake's stomach twisted. What the hell was going on? Was June on her side or just bait? Trust had never felt so fragile. The figure shifted. One slow, deliberate step forward. Blake's mind raced. Fight, flight, freeze. She weighed the options. Her fingers grazed a metal pipe. Improvised weapon. Not much, but maybe enough. She crouched low, muscles tense. Every second counted. A flicker of movement, something behind the figure. Someone else. Blake's heart pounded in her ears. She realized with a jolt, she wasn't just trapped in the basement. She was in their arena. The game was already rigged, and she was one move away from losing everything. And then the figure spoke. Voice low, dripping with menace. You shouldn't have come down here. But now that you're here, there's no turning back. Blake's eyes narrowed. Sweat ran down her temple. Her mind screamed for options, for escape, for answers. She had to move, had to act, but every step could be her last. Who was this figure really? Friend, foe? And if June's loyalty is a lie, how many more are waiting in the shadows? Watching, calculating, ready to strike the moment she slips. Blake's jaw tightened. One step, one breath, one choice. And the inferno waiting below wasn't just metaphorical, it was real. And it was hungry. Step forward. Or risk everything. Blake's heart slammed against her ribcage like it wanted out. The basement was alive with shadows. Every corner a potential trap. Every sound amplified. She pressed herself flat against the cold, wet wall, trying not to breathe too loud. Her sneakers squeaked slightly on the damp concrete. God damn it. So much for stealth. The figure at the far end shifted again. The faint click of metal echoing ominously. Blake's eyes darted, searching for anything she could use. Pipe, crate, even a loose bolt. She needed leverage, something to turn the tables. Her mind raced through every move she'd seen in movies. Every trick June had hinted at in whispers over the comms. Asterisk, this isn't a game, Blake. Not yet. But it's about to be, asterisk. Her phone buzzed. Another photo. Another twist. This time, Mark and Tanya were standing behind the figure, grinning like puppeteers who had finally pulled all the strings. Blake's stomach dropped. They weren't just in the shadows, they were orchestrating it all. Asterisk, God damn it. How deep does this rabbit hole go? Adrenaline surged. She lunged toward a pipe, leaning against the wall, gripping it tightly. The figure didn't move, but the metal glinted in the red light, hinting at danger. Every instinct screamed to stay low, but staying meant doom. She had to act, had to choose. Suddenly, a metallic clatter echoed from the ceiling. Blake's eyes shot upward. June, perched on the rafters, signaling frantically. Relief and doubt collided. Can I trust her? Or is this another layer of their twisted game? Blake clenched her jaw and nodded slightly. No time to question now. Step by step, she advanced, careful, calculated. The figure's head tilted slowly, like a predator assessing prey. Blake's mind flashed. Fight, flight, outsmart. She swung the pipe at the first sign of aggression, narrowly missing a blade or, maybe just metal. Sparks flew. Her pulse surged. The basement felt smaller. Every shadow, a living thing. Then, the unthinkable, another figure appeared behind her, shoving a crate down the narrow corridor. Panic exploded. Blake twisted, swinging the pipe again. Feeling raw power surge through her arms. Adrenaline, terror, and sheer will collided. I am not done. Not yet. June shouted from above. Go. Through the door. Now. Blake's feet moved almost of their own accord. She sprinted, dodging shadows, leaping over scattered debris. The red light flickered violently, casting dancing shapes across the walls. Behind her, voices. Mark, Tanya. The unknown figure, chased, taunting, circling. She slammed the door open. The hallway beyond was dim, long, and lined with more unknowns. Blake didn't hesitate. She bolted, every muscle screaming, heart hammering like a drum. One wrong step, one glance back, and it could all end. But she couldn't stop now. She had to uncover the truth, to survive, to reclaim control. And then a sound froze her mid-step. A click. Not a door, not a footstep. Something else. Something heavy. Something that made her blood run cold. She glanced back. Shadows. Too many shadows. And, through the chaos, a single thought sliced through her fear. Who really had the upper hand? And when the smoke clears, who's going to be left standing, and who's just a ghost in the game they've been playing all along? Blake's jaw tightened. She clenched her fists. One last breath. One final choice. The inferno behind her, the unknown ahead, and the chilling realization that the truth she sought might be more dangerous than anything she'd imagined. Step forward. Or vanish forever.